Futouris, and Futouris is the sustainability initiative of the tourism industry, with tourism industry members from the DACH region, basically. So we have members in Germany, Switzerland, and Austria mainly, who are all working together to make tourism more sustainable. Tourism from Germany, we are quite strong on, have a strong focus on outgoing tourism with all the tour operator members we have. And yeah, together we are all working on different fields of sustainability, on really advancing the way that tourism companies are working with regards to sustainability to make their products and processes more sustainable as they go along. Today I'm here and it's a great pleasure to speak to you about our big focus area over the last 2 to 3 years, which is climate emissions, carbon emissions of tourism, how to measure them, how to reduce them, how to create more transparency about them. This is our main focus area, which we have concentrated in Futouris over the last years. And we have created a joint project, a joint initiative together with all of our members, and also with the great support of the German Travel Association, DRV, which is all about, in the end, making climate footprints of travel products visible at the point of sale. So we really want to get to the point, and maybe to take some of the edge off, we are going to get to that point early next year, so I'm very excited for that. We want to get to this point where anywhere you can book a trip when you are a customer from, now we are starting in the DACH region, Germany, Austria, Switzerland will be the first, but of course we are interested to expand as well. So if you're a customer and then you look into different flight options, travel packages online or in your travel agency, you will always also see the climate footprint of the trip. So you can compare the travel options, not only based on price, on duration, on comfort, but you can also take into consideration the climate effect of your trip. That's our big aim. And of course, the second big aim with regards to that is not only making the emissions of travel more transparent to customers, but also starting at the travel companies already. So really working with tour operators and travel agencies so that they design their products from the beginning more climate friendly, and that they really have a way to measure and then decarbonize their product portfolios. That's where we want to get with this. The good news is we have a lot of support from the industry in the DACH region. We already, for Klimalink, which we founded in the end of 22, we have over 40 members already who are supporting our initiative and growing each month. And we are all together working on 3 pillars to make this vision possible. The first pillar, and I suppose you will be most interested in that pillar, is defining a common calculation method, common calculation standard for the most important travel components of package trips. And I will get to that in a second. The second most important is to create a central emission data platform, which provides this reliable emission data of the most important travel components to the tourism industry, so that they can integrate it into their systems and show it at the point of sale. And then, of course, we had to create an effective display of the climate footprint, so that the customers understand it and can take this into consideration. So maybe first, let me show you a little bit about our calculation methods that we have been developing over the past years. Of course, we didn't, and that was good, we didn't need to start totally from scratch. There were very good methods already in place, especially in the flight sector. There was a lot that we could already build upon, but also in the other travel components, there were good calculation methods that we could base our work on. And we did so, and at the moment we have calculation methods ready for flight, for rail, for cars and buses, and for hotel accommodation. We are also developing a calculation method for ships at the moment, because that was a bit more difficult, especially in the cruise sector. There were no pre-defined methodologies there yet. Now I think the situation is a bit better, so we have more to build on, but we are just starting with that again. And we are also looking at holiday homes and further activities. Of course, as you can imagine, once we have developed those methods, they will not stay set in stone like this for the next 10 or 20 years. No, we want to have a really dynamic standard which will improve over time. So once there are better scientific findings, new scientific findings that we need to take into consideration, or also once there is better data availability, we will of course adapt the standard and have it dynamic in such a way. There's also a very important role in our organization, which is the Scientific Advisory Board, where we have different tourism scientists and emission calculation experts from Germany mostly, and the Netherlands, and they are supporting us with the dynamic development of the methods. Of course, there's another framework that we need to take into consideration and also think is a very, very good guideline, is the upcoming EU regulations that we have in that field. So, for example, the EU count emissions might speak to you with regards to that. It's an upcoming regulation of the EU, which really sets the framework for carbon emission accounting in the transport sector. And as many of our travel components, as you have seen, are from the transport sector, that's of course very important for us. So what we've done already, because the count emissions regulation will be based on the ISO 14083, which is the specific ISO in that for emission accounting in the transport sector. And we've already had our transport sector methods been checked against this ISO, and it has been verified successfully, which is a great thing we can build on. Now, as I thought you might be interested in diving a bit deeper into the methodologies, I've brought two methodologies here with me today to take a deeper look into. One is flight. Flight is, of course, most important, as it for many destinations and many trips, it is the most the biggest emission driver. So here you can see what we are taking into consideration in our method with regards to flights. As you can see, there are a lot of parameters: distance, selected flight route, flight profile, aircraft type, which is really important, I think, because of course, when it comes to different aircraft types or aircraft ages, there can be substantial deviations in the emissions. So we take into consideration whether the aircraft has winglets, which engines are used, which seating layout there is, but also which seating classes are booked. Because of course, when you're booking business, you're going to have a larger footprint for your flight than when you're booking economy. And we are also integrating non-CO2 effects, so that we are really looking at CO2 equivalents and the entire climate effect of the flights, and not only CO2. And the good thing is, for flights, all this data is available, so we can calculate at this level, and we are already doing it, and the data is there, and we can provide it today. So that's very good for the flight travel component. When we're looking at hotel emissions, which is the second component I've brought with me today for a deeper look, we were very lucky to be able to build upon the great work of Glenn and his colleagues at the Sustainable Hospitality Alliance, because there we also, of course, checked different existing methodologies, and we found that the HCMI, the Hotel Carbon Measurement Initiative, had done a great job in creating a methodology that's good and at the same time practical for hotels to really use it and to provide their information and data. Because that's, of course, always the balance we have to find between scientific accuracy, which we are, of course, after, but also then the practical possibilities that we have, especially with regards to data availability. Here you can see that for in the Hotel Carbon Measurement Initiative, it's possible to calculate the CO2 footprint per occupied room on a daily basis, which is what we are using because we want to have a climate footprint for one customer. And we are in the HCMI. There are the emissions from the scopes 1 and 2 included, and also some scope 3 emissions, for example, from outsourced laundry service, because otherwise it would create a disadvantage for those hotels that are doing the laundry in-house, of course. So this definitely has to be taken on board. Also, we think it's great that with the HCMI, the use of renewable electricity is integrated and can be factored in. So this is a great basis, but we are also looking forward to working further with the Sustainable Hospitality Alliance to be able to integrate further scope 3 emissions from hotels. I think most important aspect that will come into mind directly is food and beverage, which has, of course, a big, which makes up a big part of the climate footprints of hotels. But so far, it wasn't possible to integrate that. But I know you're looking into that, and and we are happy to be part of that process. When it comes to data availability, as I said, in the flight area, we are very lucky to have all the data we need to make those specific calculations. For the hotels at the moment, we cannot provide property level data due to the lack of data, of specific data. At the moment, and also there we were very lucky that you had done such a great job already together with the Cornell Hotel Sustainability Benchmarking in the US, which we are using as a basis to have the data for the climate footprint data for hotels in our system. But as you might know, this data is average data based on the star category and of the region, or sometimes the city that the hotel is in. So it's really average data, which of course it's not so good for the hotels, because when they are seeing that they're actually doing a lot and reducing their footprint a lot, and then in our emission database they have a much bigger footprint than they should, because that's the average footprint, then we hope that this will be an incentive for them to, again, working together with the Sustainable Hospitality Alliance, to incentivize them to provide property level data, which is verified, that we can then again use and provide more specific information on the hotels. And for the other components, we have the same discussions, but I just wanted to give you these flashlights here. And then just a quick view into what we are doing to provide this data to the industry now. We are working together with the German organization Atmosphere for that, that have been working in the field of climate protection, especially emission calculation and data provision a long time already, and their IT partner NetStack. And we have now very recently, beginning of October, launched our ClimaLink platform. Now at the moment with flight and hotel emission data. So this is already available. Anyone in the tourism industry can access this database. They have to accept our usage conditions, and then have to create a login so that we have some user steering. But then they can really access the whole database and use the data to calculate trip emissions there. It is a B2B platform, so it's not meant as a B2C customer platform, traveler platform. It's really a B2B tool that tourism companies can use to calculate and then provide the climate footprints of their trips. And now all of our tour operators that are already accessing the database, they are working in the background very heavily on having this shown at the point of sale, and we are looking onto the beginning of 2025 that we are really seeing a broad use and display of the climate footprints at the point of sale. One thing that is really important when it comes to that is that we are providing not only a manual platform where you can input your trip data and then get the emission data out. that's really something that's much too manual, that not the big tourism companies, they cannot use that. It's much too complicated. So very, very important from the beginning for us was to also create an API that big tourism organizations can use to automatically transfer the data into their systems and then show it at the point of sale. And here you can see how it's going to look in the end. We had the luck to be funded by the German Economic Ministry for Economy and Climate Protection, to do a big research project on how to best and most effectively display the climate footprints to the customers. And in the end, that was the outcome. There were several other possibilities which were also very, very interesting, but which needed much more research. For example, we also looked at the traffic light system, showing directly whether a trip is rather green, yellow, or red when it comes to carbon emissions, when it comes to climate footprint. But the problem was really the categories, defining the categories behind that, and deciding which trips were you going to compare. When you're going to compare trips worldwide, then of course long-haul trips connected with a long-haul flight would always be in the red part of the display there. So that's something we want to again take up in the future, because we think this would of course even be a better guidance to customers. But at the moment, this came out of our research project as the best possibility to show the climate footprints at the moment, because a footprint sign is connected with the topic by the customers, so it will be easy to understand. And then we are also providing this comparison value of the climate-friendly annual carbon budget that a person has, so that you know at one glance, is my trip climate-friendly, or is it has it very high emissions? Should I maybe think about cutting back in other parts of my life, for example, to be able to afford this trip, or just to make sure that it's understood what it means, because we think by just providing a figure like those 800 kilograms, people wouldn't really know what to do with it. So therefore this comparison value is very important from our perspective. This is a quick roundup of what we've done in Klimalink and Futouris over the past 2 years to get to the point where we can really show the climate footprints at the point of sale. I hope this wasn't too quick, but if you have any questions, go ahead, or we can discuss later or tomorrow. Thanks, Dirk, for inviting me.
Swantje, two things. The conversation will continue during the summit. You, Glenn, and the Canary Islands will have over there the possibility. You will not have the possibility. You will continue this discussion. And there are two remarks I wanted to make related to your presentation. The first one is, we wanted to show here the observatories right now how communication will happen through a channel directly to the end consumers, through tour operators and travel agents. It's one way of communicating this information, but it's interesting that your efforts of creating evidence in the end will go up to the client. We very often talk about where is this usage of the information. So that was one of the reasons why we asked Swantje already to speak here and to show that. The other thing, and that is the cooperation proposal we wanted to discuss. It is destinations where actually the data management, the data facilitation should happen. This information she was talking about is destination information. It's produced in the destination, and it's scope 1, 2, and 3 of the destination, whether it's the hotels of the destination or the flight from and to the destination. And if you just think the next step, you realize that is becoming the competitive advantage of destinations if you have over there the right interfaces to initiatives like that. Whether it's Klimalink or any other initiative, Destinations which have this information ready, available for those who wish to communicate, will have over there a communication advantage, but also competitive advantage in the entire management, because if they are doing something, this is